Well, I was cut off on my last video because I completely ran out of storage space on my phone. So I think I can make it through the rest of this without having a problem. But anyway, we were solving this perfect square quadratic equation. We took the square root of both sides, put a plus minus, and so we get x plus 6 equals positive and negative 8. And then at this point now, you have to get x alone. So I'm going to move the 6 to the other side, and I'm going to get negative 6. I like to put it in front of the plus minus 8. So the plus minus is always between the two numbers. It's easier that way. This actually equals two numbers. So what I have here, I have negative 6 plus 8, which is 2, and I have negative 6 minus 8, which is a negative 14. And those are my two solutions. And if you notice, most of the time you have two solutions, not always, but this is obviously not to scale, but if I were to graph this, 2 and negative 14 would be my x-intercepts on my parabola. All right, now you don't have to graph the parabola when you do these problems, but I'm just showing you to kind of give you a feel for what these numbers mean. Example 4. All right, let's try x squared plus 32 equals 0. Well, I'm going to put the 32 on the other side because remember we want to get the square term alone, so he's going to get tossed over there. And I have x squared equals negative 32. Problem is, you can never get a negative coming out of something squared because anything times itself will always be positive. If I were to try to take the square root, that's a problem too because you can never have a negative under the square root. So, can't have. What that means is this is a no solution. And technically it's no real solution, but for our purposes, we'll just say no solution. In terms of the graph, what it means is your parabola, it won't cross the axis. It's either going to be up here, or it could be over here or something. Sometimes they're upside down here, but it can't cross. Okay, example 5. Let's do, okay, 6x squared minus 18 equals 0. All right, we want to get the x squared term alone. So I'm going to move the 18 over first, and I get 6x squared equals 18. Now let's solve for the x squared, so dividing by 6, x squared equals 3. Okay, squared term is alone. Now I can take the square root of both sides. Here, I'll rewrite it just for the sake of the notes. Square root, don't forget your plus minus here. And we get x equaling positive and negative. Now you don't need a decimal. Square root of 3. And the square root of 3 is a number. It is approximately, it's like 1.73. But that's on your graph. So we can just put it right there. Square root of 3, negative square root of 3. Okay, there's the parabola. Now I'm going to turn the page, I think, for this guy. Let's see, that was example 5. Okay, example 6. I think we might have one more after this, maybe. 5x minus 4 squared equals 40. Well, we don't have a squared term alone, so I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And I get x minus 4 squared equals 8. Squared term is alone. Now I can take the square root of both sides, put a plus and a minus here. And then this is going to give me just x minus 4 equals, if you can simplify what's under the root, just like we did in the last test, you want to do that. So the square root of 8 is 2 times 4. The 4 is a perfect square. A 2 will come out of that. And this 2 is left underneath the root. So I have positive and negative 2 root 2. Now we want to move the 4 to the other side. So x equals, I'm going to put the 4 in front of the plus minus. 4 plus minus 2 root 2. Those, you can leave it just like this. Those are your two answers. What it means is you've got 4 plus 2 root 2, which is some number, and 4 minus 2 root 2. That would be one of your x-intercepts. That would be your other x-intercept. It looks weird, but those are real numbers, and they're on the number line. All right. I think if I give you this one, we'll be okay. Y squared plus 6y plus 9 equals 49. I know that 49, this is kind of an exception to when I said get the square term alone. Here, if I get the square term alone, I'm going to have some weird stuff on the other side. I know this is a perfect square here. 49 is a perfect square. So in this case, you want to leave these two sides. Don't move anything to the other side of the equation, basically. Okay, so leave terms where they are. All right, so this is an exception. Here we go. That would be a 3y. 3y doubled is 6y. Yep, so we get y plus 3 squared, that's a perfect square, equals 49. And now we're back to like the previous two problems. So I'm going to, just for the sake of notes, rewrite this. I can take the square root of both sides, not forgetting to put a plus and a minus right here. Where's that? And then we have y plus 3 equals positive and negative 7. Now I'm going to put the 3 on the other side, and so y equals negative 3, remember to change sign, plus minus 7. See, I put it in front of the plus minus, so the plus minus is between the two numbers. That means I have negative 3 plus 7, so that makes a 4, and I have negative 3 minus 7, and that makes a negative 10. So those would be my two y-intercepts. And I think we might be good there. All right, I'm going to stop before my phone cuts off on me.